Hello friends, welcome to CEC Gurukul Live Lectures. Dear friends, this is our another session on career counseling called Pratibha Samvardhan. Dear friends, our topic of discussion for today is very interesting. You might have heard about various career options, but today we are going to talk on what are the career options for you in the area of merchant navy. Yes, you might be knowing more and more about the defense services, the Indian Navy, and many of you might be confused with what Indian Navy and what merchant navy is. I wish to like to tell you all that merchant navy is one of the another booming careers which we have been talking about in our general lives. Many of you might be aware of what merchant navy is, and many of you would still be wondering. So you are curious, we know that. We need to fulfill your desire to tell you what this area is. Friends, for this discussion on the topic, we have with us in our studios Mr. Rishi Rajrana. Mr. Rishi Rajrana, he has immense experience, 20 years of experience in maritime industry. He, as a marine engineer, has sailed, as well as he has recruited number of engineers, whether it's mechanical, I would say, or the civil engineers, electrical engineers. Many are blessed by him. He is a torchbearer, and he takes you to the seas. He takes you to the land where there is sea, and a beautiful career too. So let's welcome our guest, Mr. Rishi Rajrana. Hello, sir. Welcome to the session.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for the introduction, and thanks for having me over.
Thank you for your precious time too, sir. So, as I told in the beginning that people are confused, already we have a number of options. Still, there are dilemmas. But before we talk about dilemmas, it is better to talk about what merchant navy is and how and why it is important in our lives.
Okay, very pertinent question, because this is what people should know before they opt for any profession, not only merchant navy. But if you talk about merchant navy is basically the commercial ships, basically involved in the transportation of goods and of the non-military nature, basically. So this is basic difference between the naval ships and the merchant ships. The merchant ships are carrying commercial products, right? So that is one thing. And merchant navy is very important in our daily life. Out of 100 things which we use on daily basis, at least 90 of them have been carried by ships. So that is what we really need to understand, the importance of merchant navy in our life. And very in the unprecedented time of COVID, where your road transportation had come to a standstill, your aviation industry was suffering. But in merchant navy, merchant ships were actually carrying all your consumables, your products, your oil, natural gas, your medicines, all commodities, everything was being carried by the merchant ships. So that is how we were moving the world. And merchant navy is basically connecting the global supply chain, basically. So that is what we are connecting, and all your finished goods, your raw materials, your cosmetics, electrical, electronics items, all are being transported by ships. So that is what is merchant navy, basically. And if you're working on those ships, you're basically working in merchant navy.
So it is abstract part of life, abstract in the sense that people aren't aware that someone somewhere is working for them deliberately. True. And who those people are those who work in that particular area, that is the merchant navy. Now, when we are saying that people are working means they have chosen their career paths. Yes. To be into the merchant navy. So what are the options for the students who want to go into the merchant navy after 12th? How to prepare, how to go along into this particular field?
So basically, I'll first tell you that to serve in merchant navy, there are basically two streams in merchant navy. One is the navigation side, and the other one is the engineering side. So the candidates or the students, they can opt either to be a navigator or they can opt to be an engineer in merchant navy. So first of all, I'll talk about after class 12th. So they are basically, you need to be from a background of PCM, that is physics, chemistry, maths as subjects, and there is a eligibility criteria listed by Government of India also, and every company has its own eligibility criteria to have a check on the intake, quality of intake, so that is there. So it differs from company to company, but minimum criteria is laid down by Government of India, and that is what we follow. So with PCMS subjects, you have to give IMU CET exam also, which is conducted by Indian Maritime University. You have to clear that exam, it's a compulsory exam. And after that, you have to look for sponsorship from some companies. Sponsorship in the sense, the company should hire you, and then you have to undergo a pre-C training. So first you are hired by a company, then you go undergo a pre-C training, so that after you complete that training, you already have an employment in your hand, right? So that is very important. Otherwise, what happens is you invest a lot of money in your training, and later on, if you don't have employment, that goes waste. So that is one thing. So PCMS subjects, and that is what it is. And in the career progression, basically you start off as a deck cadet. So your pre-C training is somewhere, it's actually 12 months ashore, followed by 18 months on the ship, and it is not 18 months on one ship, it is in 3 ships or 4 ships, you have to complete those 18 months. So that makes you eligible for your first license exam. So completing those 18 months, you are now eligible to give the first license exam, which is a DNS program. So you get a degree in nautical science, and it is issued by IMU, Indian Maritime University. So that is the first license, and then you will be a certified officer on the ship. So from cadet you become a third officer, and accordingly you have to again sail on the ship, do your sea time, come back, give the next license exam, and you are promoted to second officer, and from second officer then you become a chief officer, and finally you give your exams and become a master mariner or the captain of the ship. So that is the growth on the nautical side after class 12th with PCMS subjects.
So what about the students who are from non-engineering background? Do they have any options to be into the merchant navy?
Yes. If the candidate has not done class 12th, after class 10th also there is a program which is for the GP rating course, general purpose basically. So they are the helping hands on the ship, and after class 10th they have to undergo a specific course which is related to safety aspect of shipping. They have to undergo some STCW courses, that is standard of training and certification and watchkeeping. Those are compulsory courses which they have to have, and then they will be permitted to serve on the ship. So this is how they grow, but that is after class 10th, and accordingly the salary packages will be there. But yes, they can join even if they have not done class 12th.
So one is the navigation part you told us about.
That is the officer line.
Officer
after
line.
12th.
And what else after 12th? Apart from this navigation?
Yes, after 12th then we come into the engineering stream. So engineering stream, after completing your 12th class with PCMS subjects, either you can join a marine college, that is 4 years BTech marine degree you can have. So lot of institutes are there, so you can join that. So then you will get a marine engineer's degree of 4 years, or else you can go for mechanical engineering, 4 years BTech mechanical engineering, or you can go for electrical and electronics engineering. And here I would make a mention that all these branches, what I am saying, mechanical and automation, electrical, electronics, all these branches are listed on Government of India website. Although lot of foreign companies also operate in India, they do hiring in India, but they have to follow the norms of Government of India, right? So that is what they can hire. So it is listed there. So all those branches you can join as BTech candidate, complete your degree, and then you can join Merchant Navy as a junior engineer. But for joining a junior engineer, you have to reach out to the companies, give their entrance exam, clear their interviews, eligibility criteria, everything, and then you get the sponsorship for a pre-C training. So pre-C training for mechanical engineers is 8 months. It is basically 12 months, but 8 months ashore and 4 months on the ship. So that makes it 12 months. And once they come back from the first ship, they have to go on the second ship for 6 months as a junior engineer. So now after second shift they become eligible for their first license exam, which is called as MEO class 4. So after clearing that exam, which is conducted again by Directorate General Shipping, Government of India, so because they are the licensing authority, and once you clear that, you get your first license and you become a fourth engineer. Then again same career progression is there. You have to sail for a couple of months as per the eligibility criteria, and you fulfill that requirement, you are eligible for giving your next exam, and accordingly they become third engineer, they become a second engineer, and finally a chief engineer. So once you become a chief engineer, then you are overall responsible for the operations on the ship and machinery related work. So that is how it is. And for marine engineers who have BTech 4 years of marine engineering, they directly go on the ship as a junior engineer. They don't have to do that 4 months of ship. They straight away go for that 6 months, and further cycle is the same. And for electrical electronics engineers, by electrical and electronics I mean all the branches of electrical electronics which are listed on the website, they are eligible. And once they complete their sea time, they also have to undergo 4 months of training ashore first. Then they have to board the ship, they do their training there, come back, give the exam again conducted by DG Shipping, and they get their license. So they start off as a trainee electrical officer, then they become assistant electrical officers, then they become senior electrical officer, and that is how they grow.
So now what is the difference between one who has this engineering degree in any of the fields, in any of the area, and someone who wants to make career in merchant navy? So is there any difference between the two who are heading towards this particular field?
Yes, because after class 12th, if you are willing to get into merchant navy, then your progression, your career progression would be to become a captain of the ship. So that will be totally on the navigation side. So you will not be associated anyway with the engineering aspect of the shipping industry. But if you are opting to be on the engineering side, then you become finally the chief engineer, and throughout your life you will be like working hands-on with the machinery. Operation and maintenance. So that is the work of the engineer on the ship.
Now, the another question is how one should prepare himself or herself. Though we are talking about the females also, those who wants to be into the merchant navy, because the time has changed and new avenues are there. But if there is anything else you want to add on to this particular topic,
okay.
If you wish so.
For the female candidates?
Female will be talking, but what attributes, what skills one requires?
Okay. Attributes, first of all, I would say that very important is that you should be joining merchant navy willingly, right? You should have that passion of joining merchant navy. You should research about it, because it's a very typical and peculiar kind of a profession to be sailing out at sea. It is nothing like you are working on ashore. So it is something different. So you must research, and then you should have that passion, that fire in the belly kind of thing, that you want to be in this profession. So that is one thing. And secondly, very important is you should have a adaptable mindset. You should be a team player, because out at sea you have very limited number of people on the ship. So you have to be a good team player, right? And cultural awareness should be there, because if you are working with some foreign company, so a lot of foreign nationals are there, different from different backgrounds. So you have to be very respectful about the cultural aspect of their this thing. So that is another requirement. And you have to have a continuously learning kind of an attitude, right, throughout your life, because as I mentioned earlier, you have to keep giving your exams, and that is the only way to promotions, right? You cannot just say ki I need a promotion, but I am not interested in putting efforts. So that learning attitude has to be there, and you have to clear your exam, and accordingly your growth is defined. And so that these are the more important, and you should be willing to stay away from home. That is one aspect of it, which is something.
And seas
tricky.
attracts you.
Yes.
The job or the work profile, it gives you a feeling that yes, it is going to be very, very adventurous. But
Yes.
behind that adventure, there are lots of training programs, and one needs to gear up and be
Yes.
prepared for all those training programs. Are there some kind of training programs other than these what you have explained over here?
Yes, time to time you have to undergo a lot of trainings, that is your company in-house trainings also, and some are compulsory trainings as per the mandate. So all those trainings you have to do, then only, like, you cannot just send a cadet to do some very important work, right, because the experience is less, because ship is a place which is considered as most safe place out at sea, and it can be a very unsafe place also. So that is where your training aspect comes into picture. The more training you do time and again, your workforce stays aligned with the technology, and they are capable of handling, and they are pre-prepared for a lot of emergencies which you may face out at sea. And the very important ones are medical emergencies, because you don't have a doctor out there, so you have to handle all those kind of things there. Firefighting is there, survival techniques are there. So all these comes under your standard STCW trainings only. So these are all approved trainings. You have to have those certifications. Without that, you cannot go on the ship. So that is additional trainings.
Though there are all kind of trainings which you have already explained over here, but every job has its limitation as well as challenges. I would not say limitation, but use word rather challenges. What are the challenges faced by? Because when you go into a particular field, a particular job, whatsoever attract you, when you adopt that, then you realize, no, this is the outcomings and this is the limitations with particular field. Are there any limitations there or any challenges faced by our sailors there? When they are
Challenges, definitely. I have been sailing, I've sailed over 15, 16 years. So a lot of challenges, right? One very important challenge is staying away from home. And so mentally you have to be mentally as well as physically you have to be very sound, right? Because when you are out at sea, anything happens back home, so you cannot expect you to be flown back from the middle of the sea. So that is where you have to have that endurance limit. Your mental strength is put to test. So those are some limitations. And many times what happens is, when you are really required at home, you may not be there, right? So that is one part of merchant navy which you have to be very clear. That is why initially I said you research about the profession very clearly, understand both the pros as well as cons of the profession, weigh it, and then opt for it. So it will be a very calculated move, and you will excel in that field. So that is how it can be done.
So this is how one can understand that going to the ship or boarding on a ship and then handling the challenges will ultimately make you the person you are into. Right. And yes, every field attracts us, but one needs to prepare himself or herself in advance. Now I said himself and herself, as I asked you earlier also, herself. I mean, the females who are heading into different fields, and we have seen females in merchant navy now.
Yes.
So how we have changed this paradigm, how the girls are adopting, and how girls are making their way into the merchant navy, if we talk about the present scenario.
Okay. Well, I would say this profession was always open for girl candidates, and sadly I don't know how and from where it has been projected that it was only for the boys, because when I was under training I had a lot of girl candidates with me, right? All of them are now chief engineers, and they are handling a lot of operations work and technical departments. So that has always been there. But yes, there are around 2 million seafarers worldwide serving on those merchant ships, and out of that sadly only 2% representation of women, right? So but the good thing now is very recent report by BIMCO, which is your Baltic and International Maritime Council. In their report of 2021, they have clearly mentioned that compared to their 2015 figures, the women representation has increased by 45%. And why that has happened? Because almost all companies are taking initiative of conducting career fairs, reaching out to the female candidates, discussing with them. All those kind of seminars are being conducted, and the female candidates who are already working in this profession, so they are also advertising about the profession. They are reaching out to their peer groups, and that is how word of mouth is spreading. And now we have a lot of applications coming in from the girl candidates also, because we conduct interviews and all. So we are finding a lot of girl candidates getting interested, both on the navigation side as well as on the engineering side. And companies, they have a lot of initiatives. Even Government of India is giving a fee waiver for girl candidates for the training fee, the initial training fee. So that is the initiative by Government of India. Similar initiatives are by companies also. And then we have a buddy system on board. Companies, they have a buddy system. When a female cadet joins on board, so she is allotted a buddy on board, so that she doesn't find herself lost on the ship from day one. So if she has something concerns, so she can reach out to the buddy. So that is how we are supporting the female cadets. And there are a lot of other organizations who are working on the same lines. And I will not be mentioning their names, but
Definitely.
yes, definitely all people in the industry are working in those lines. And in future, I believe we'll have almost 50%. That is
Wonderful.
the first target we would have, and then definitely.
Wonderful. So you have been meeting lots of students who have passed out 12th, or those who are pursuing their graduation or engineering. What are the challenges faced by you? Being a mentor, you have been mentoring lots and lots of students to fulfill their dream and to be in the Merchant Navy. What challenges you face? Because facing the students' challenges is something like facing your own challenges, because you have passed that journey.
Yes. I was lucky that I already had a mentor. I was introduced to Merchant Navy long back when I was in school. So I had a fair idea. So my thought process was aligned that I have to get into Merchant Navy. And that is, I did my PCM subjects, then I did my engineering in mechanical, and then followed by on the ship. Right, but this is what we guide to the candidates, and again I keep repeating the same thing, that you have to be very focused, you have to be very clear about what you need in the future, what career prospects you want, how you want to grow, and what is your target in life, right? So that is one thing. But yes, challenges are there, because a lot of candidates we find are coming from very humble backgrounds, right? Remote areas of India, and that is where we are trying to reach out to them to introduce them with this option of Merchant Navy. And sometimes they are not able to afford their pre-sea training, because it costs a lot. And but there is a solution. Banks, they fund this as an education loan, and the parents have to be the guarantors, right? And it is sponsored as an education loan, but because it is listed on Government of India website, it's a certified training program. So that option is there, but still people from that background may not be able to take a loan or afford that. That is one thing. Second is what we see is the communication skills. If you go around India, it keeps changing from sector to sector, right? So that is one thing, because mostly I would say majority of the ships, the communication language is English, because it's a mixed crowd, right? So you have to interact with people, and that is why English is the communication language. So that is tested during interviews or in the written papers and all. But some candidates, they get not get selected. I would not say rejected, but not get selected because of the limitation on English communication skills, right? And sometimes we test them for a lot of competencies. They are tested for a lot of competencies. We are not looking only on their technical skills or what background they are coming from, but their physical appearance, how well they are groomed, how they present themselves. So that is where we sometimes find a limitation with some candidates. They don't
These are
present
the
themselves
important
well.
points. I think we need to stress more on these points. And dear friends, we believe that you might have gathered lots and lots of information through this session of ours. We are going to discuss more and would be helping you out so that you too could be in Merchant Navy. Thank you for watching us.